Hello, English 101 students. This is your professor, Michael Bloomingberg. Hope you've had a great week so far now that we're into the third week of the semester. I have been getting some emails about needing clarification concerning this week's assignments, and so that's the purpose of this video, is to make sure everything makes sense. I envision this video being a little bit of everything as far as week 3 is concerned. We'll take a look at your assignments, and we'll also probably do some lesson points just to make sure you understand what writing a summary is all about. So I'm going to go to course content. I'm on our Blackboard page, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the week 3 folder. We'll start with the week 3 course worksheet just to review it and make sure that everything makes sense. And so I have presented for you a handout related to how to write a summary. Also, there's a handout related to essay structure. In this video, it might be a little bit long, but we'll try to touch base on some of those items and make sure that everything makes sense. Read both the assignment sheet for the draft plan and the summary essay. Only the draft plan is due this week. These are two separate assignments. We'll talk about them as we go through. Of course, the draft plan's due this week. And you also have a discussion board assignment related to the rewrite opportunity, so we'll also take a look at that as well. So let me go back to the week 3 folder. The first thing you'll see is the essay structure and summary writing information. Let's take a look at that. The 5-paragraph essay structures given and how to write a summary. I've put a little video too in here that just shows you that mastering the skills of summary writing. We'll take a look at, I hope you'll take a look at that. We won't take a look at it in the video, but again, those are just resources. I'm going to touch base with those as we go along. Rewrite opportunity. And again, this is just a little document I put together that's available as a Word document PDF file. Then we'll look at the summary assignment sheet, then the draft plan. Let's look at the rewrite opportunity first and make sure it makes sense. What I've told you here is that each student will be given one rewrite opportunity throughout the semester. Please note that this is an opportunity that can be used on one of the 3 essays only once. So here's how it works. If you're not pleased with the score you receive on your assignment, you will need to let me know within 1 week if you plan to use your rewrite opportunity. From there, you will be given 1 week to complete a revision of the draft. You've got to let me know within 1 week of receiving your score if you plan to use the opportunity. If I don't hear from you, then I'm going to assume that you're not going to use it, and I have to actually keep tally of the rewrite opportunity, so it's very important that you send me an email and put it in writing if you plan to use it. You are not required to use the rewrite opportunity, so if you're always happy with how you're scoring, you don't have to use it. This would be a good time to look at the discussion board real fast, because what I've said is please make sure that you've looked at the rewrite explanation and the summary essay assignment sheet. And I just want to touch base first of all with respect to the rewrite opportunity. I'm asking you if it made sense and how will you have to use critical thinking when considering your rewrite. Also, what is the most challenging aspect of the summary assignment, and what do you think of the draft plan? Well, let's again go back to week 3 and back to the rewrite draft plan summary folder. Now let's look at the assignment sheet for the summary. So it says, in a 2 to 3 page paper, present a summary of Naomi Klein's From No Logo. Please review the handouts and video in the week 3 folder for information regarding summary writing. In order to be successful, you must, note your bullet points here, have a draft that is 2 to 3 pages long. Follow the classroom writing guidelines and format. That's 12-point Times New Roman font, double-spaced 1-inch margins. Don't forget to review MLA standard. You might want to take a look at what the standard is for setting up your document. That's really important. Adhere to written standard English, which means making sure you use proper grammar, mechanics, punctuation, and spelling. Note again that the draft plan's due this week. Note that the essay itself, these are 2 separate assignments, but the essay to which the sheet corresponds is not due until February 11th, so you've got a little bit of time to work. I keep clicking too far back. I apologize. Next thing we want to do is look at the draft plan. Now, I got a little jumpy there. Let me stress something to you. If I were you, what I would do is open up the draft plan as a Word document, because you can actually type in your responses on the Word document. You just need to enable your editing. And then, for example, at the top where it says your name, I'll just put mine in as the example. And you can just type your responses on the actual draft plan. Let's go through the draft plan real fast. The first part says, what is Naomi Klein's main argument? Now, the important thing to keep in mind about a summary, and we'll touch base on this in just a moment, but a summary is only concerned with the author's ideas, not your own. So the first part of the draft plan is having you address Klein's thesis. And so that's not your opinion, it's just what do you see as Klein's thesis in the article. Then you have these big large blocks, and the first one says use the space below to note biographical information regarding Klein. Include information you will use to establish how Klein's background has influenced your points of view. So what kinds of things do you know about Klein? Well, you might note that she's from Canada, that From No Logo is her most well-known work. You might note about her paternal grandfather working for Disney. And so you've got some notes to go by. You might just have to go back to the Week 2 folder to review those. And then how does that information influence her point of view? I'll be interested to see what you say about that. What are some key points that you've identified from No Logo? How can you organize the main ideas from each paragraph section? What does Klein do to make her argument stand out? What I recommend you do to best prepare for the summary is go through the Klein article one section at a time and make notes with each section. Put in your own words what the main ideas of each section are. If you can do that, those are going to be your key points, and that will really help you structure the summary. Keep in mind that this draft plan due this week is designed to help you be successful in the summary. And then the last block, who is Klein's audience? You always want to have an awareness of audience in writing. And how does she show an awareness of audience? How does she show that she understands who her audience is? And does she give information to show a counter argument or points that go opposite of what it is she's stating in the article? So you should type your responses in the actual box, save it, and then once you have it ready, go back to the Week 3 folder. You're going to use this submission form down here, the summary draft plan submission. You will click the link once you have completed the draft plan and have it saved. You will go down and click Browse My Computer to pull up from your file. So I'm just going to use this as an example. And you can see it's attached here down at the bottom where I'm highlighting. You should see an attachment once you've identified your file. Then you're just going to hit the blue submit right over here in the corner, and that will allow you to submit the essay. I'm going to hit cancel on that because I don't want to do that, but when you hit submit, that'll send it to me. So it's really that easy. We're almost at the home stretch, so what I'm going to do is open up a blank Word document and walk you through just a few pieces of information that I think that you will find helpful in understanding essay process and summary information. Well, let me go back down here. We're going to start with essay structure, and I'm just going to walk you through a few things here. You have handouts, by the way, in the Week 3 folder, but this is just kind of in addition. There are 3 parts to an essay, and this will be the same even when you're writing the summary. The first part's the introduction, the second part's the body, the third part's the conclusion. Now you do different things within each part. So let's start with the introduction. The introduction is designed to establish your topic. As it relates to Klein's essay, you need to give the author's name and the title in the first paragraph. You want to hook the reader. Again, this is awareness of audience, and newspaper writers are the best at hooking the audience because they have a limited amount of time to work with and know that they're trying to sell papers. So hooking the reader is very important. And then also you're going to do something called establish a thesis statement. in your introduction. I'm going to cap this. Your thesis is Klein's thesis. Don't forget that. We'll talk about why that is when we look at summary writing. So the body of an essay, what you're going to do there is show your information or your point of view depending on what you're being asked to do. And the summary, it's showing the information that comes from the article. You may have to give facts, details, examples, and this is the largest part of the essay. Most of your 2 to 3 page summary will consist of the body where you're presenting the key points from the no logo article. Conclusion includes the last impression for the reader. It's critical. Think, for example, of a movie. Have you ever watched a movie where it was going smashingly well and you were really enjoying it? And let's say it's a 2-hour movie, then it gets to the last 10 minutes and the ending is totally terrible. How does that shape your opinion of the whole movie? Well, even though you enjoyed an hour and 50 minutes of it, if the last 10 minutes are crummy, you're likely going to not have a favorable opinion of the movie. Your essay is very similar. You need to keep in mind that your conclusion is that important. It's like the ending of a movie. It has to tie everything together, and it has to give a satisfactory ending for the reader. Now, real quick, I'm trying to not make this video too long. Thesis statement. Let's talk about that for a few minutes, because a thesis statement is the main idea of a piece of writing. Now, as a reader, you need to be aware of what Klein's thesis is, and as a writer, you need to be able to explain her thesis using your own words. That's the challenge within writing the summary essay. A good thesis will do 3 things. A good thesis will announce the topic. And by the way, I should have said this. A thesis is generally a single sentence. And if it's a statement, it's not a question, so it does not take a question form. But instead, it'll announce the topic. Now, your introduction, don't forget that up here. That's also going to give an announcement of topic, but the thesis will, you'll definitely be able to know the topic from the thesis. A good thesis will also make a particular point about the topic. And so it's not enough to know the topic, but we have to know what the particular point is. And finally, a good thesis statement will give direction to the entire essay. It's kind of like a blueprint, if you're familiar with blueprints and how important they are to building homes. All home designs start with a blueprint, and a thesis is a blueprint. Thesis is like the heart of the paper. And what I mean by that is, just as the heart functions within the body to pump blood, and if there's not a heartbeat, there may be a loss of life. A thesis functions the same way in the paper. It's the heartbeat of the paper. Without a strong thesis, you're probably not going to have a strong essay. So please keep in mind how important that is. Let me give you an example. Let's say pollution is bad for the environment. That is an example of not a very strong thesis, and the reason being, it does announce the topic pollution, make a particular point, well, it's bad for the environment. That's kind of vague. Furthermore, it looks like it's trying to be persuasive, but what's it really persuading the reader of? I think we can all agree that pollution is bad for the environment. Does it give direction? Not at all. So consider these 3 things a checklist to run your thesis through. Now, what if we said 25% of the federal budget 25% of the federal budget should be spent to help solve pollution in major cities. Now we're on to something. The announcement of topic is still pollution. Making a particular point, yeah, it's talking about 25% of the budget should be spent and given direction, absolutely, because we know that not only is it going to talk about the federal budget, but major American cities, so we have greater direction. So don't be surprised if your thesis doesn't have to evolve a bit. That's what makes writing so different, is that where you start isn't always where you end, and sometimes you have to go back to the drawing board in the writing process. So that's thesis. I want to come over here and I want to talk about summary writing very quickly, and I know you've got handouts about this, and I'm sure that it works well. Just remember that with summary, you're condensing your information. What I mean by condensing is a shorter version of the original with only the main ideas. Now, furthermore, you're using your own words. Otherwise, one would just go back into the article and read it. I don't know how many of you plan to get into the medical field, but if you do, you might be asked to do summaries in the form of patient charts and so on. If any of you plan to run a business, you may find that you're going to have to give quarterly reports. Those are summary reports of how your business is doing. And whether it's working with patients or working in the world of business, the person who's looking for the information doesn't want the original information. They want you to condense it, to use your own words, to know that you understand the information. That's really critical. And that's why, even though Klein's paper was, her article was about 8 pages, the summary is only 2 to 3 pages. You're condensing the information, making it shorter, getting to the main points. Don't quote. That defeats the purpose. Again, you need to make sure that you're using your own language. Do tie the ideas back to Klein. She needs to get credit for it in the summary. I apologize that this video is a little bit long-winded, but I do hope that you found it helpful. Maybe this will clear up some of the ambiguity that you might have been feeling this week, some of the confusion. If you have questions, feel free to email me. I apologize that this video is coming out late. It was just a very hectic week, but I want you to know that I'm with you. I'm not disregarding your inquiries. I will email you back if you email me. And if I can help, let me know, folks. And good luck as you work through the draft plan this week.